We got to have a serious and sincere conversation about what went down on SmackDown this past weekend because, quite frankly, this WWE newest decision may actually have backfired. It could have potentially put WrestleMania in jeopardy. And no, this is not some engagement bait or some sort of thing to make you guys rage or get upset or to make you think that WWE is not listening, because quite frankly, WWE is listening, and the proof of that is exactly what we saw last year with the We Want Cody movement. And depending on how these next few weeks of television shape up could really dictate or determine whether or not WWE is going to change course. And I'm going to predict very early on that that is not the case. We're going to talk about it right here, right now on the Ango Show. So you guys probably remember WrestleMania 40, the We Want Cody movement really shaped everything. I mean, honestly, WWE had to pivot. And for some reason, I don't necessarily believe truly 100% within my heart that WWE didn't have last year's plan, at least somewhat in the works in advance. But of course, we saw the reaction with the We Want Cody movement, and WWE did make a change. And then we finally got Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And it was a very interesting time period because, of course, a lot of it stemmed from social media. And I know that sometimes I don't like to believe what social media says. I don't like to entertain what social media says. But the IWC and social media does play a pivotal role in what WWE does. And last night on SmackDown, WWE has officially announced that CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns is in fact the main event for WrestleMania Night 1. And obviously this is a big deal. You could see CM Punk was overcome with tons and tons of emotions. That was something that I think a lot of people kind of looked at and they were like, obviously, if you follow CM Punk, you're relatively happy about that, right? It's always been his life goal. He's never been given that opportunity. Then he went to AEW, and we all know that infamous promo about buy one, get one for free, or whatever the hell it was. And then obviously, who would have expected CM Punk headlining a WrestleMania under the Triple H regime, right? But that's exactly what is happening. And now social media has been totally back and forth on this. There is a lot of discourse all over social media. It's not just Twitter. It's not just TikTok. It's not just YouTube. I mean, it's essentially everywhere. And basically what has happened here is a lot of fans believe that CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins should not be the main event. Now, I'm going to argue that it should be the main event of night one. However, my reason for this is probably different from many others. And of course, on this channel, I just like to offer a perspective. Sometimes we all kind of think the same, and sometimes we think a little bit differently. But Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns are the three. I mean, look at their name value, right? They are very, very valuable to the WWE brand. And when you look at WWE and the surge of popularity that they've had, a lot of it could be thanks to them. Seth Rollins has been a long-time guy in this company, and he's never really had that real moment where WWE truly backed him up and like positioned him as the guy. He's always been there to be the workhorse that he is at a time where Roman Reigns was not constantly on television. And of course, I'm not trying to diminish Seth Rollins by any means or prop him up in a different way. It's just, I think Seth Rollins has always been the guy to go to because he's reliable, but not because he's the guy by choice. And so I think that's a very important part of this argument that I have is that, you know, under Triple H's regime, Seth Rollins has done a very, very good job. And for years and years, honestly, Seth Rollins has just basically done everything that he's asked to do. He put over Cody, he's put over so many others. And now he's finally in a position where he is going to headline WrestleMania. But it's because he did carry the company on his back. Even when he was injured, he still found ways to make it work and come back early and be the MVP that they need. Obviously, Roman Reigns, I don't feel like we need to talk much about Roman Reigns. He is the guy in WWE. He is the box office draw. Roman Reigns is the guy that is beloved by many, many fans. He's the reason why people do buy tickets to WWE events. And obviously, Roman Reigns, I feel like it would be very difficult for WWE to put Roman Reigns, after everything he's done for years, to put him as the first match or the second match or the co-main event of a WrestleMania. And even though he's not wrestling for a world championship, he is in a very high profile match, and that is something that needs to be discussed. And then, of course, we got to acknowledge CM Punk. If you're a fan of CM Punk, you're going to love this. You know that he's wanted to do this forever. He's never had that opportunity, so obviously you're going to support that. But for me, I look at CM Punk coming back into WWE, now being given the chance to headline WrestleMania. It's not even about winning or losing, quite frankly. I think CM Punk's whole situation, it's very beautiful to see that, like, there was issues in AEW. There was issues in his past with WWE. And he's been able to come back to WWE, and you don't hear of these issues. And it's really interesting sometimes watching footage of CM Punk being backstage with Triple H, and like, they have like this weird camaraderie. Like, they're on good terms now, and him and the company are on good terms, and he's there trying to help the younger people and help other people. I don't think a lot of us actually expected that, right? But CM Punk's lifelong dream was to headline WrestleMania. Win or lose, I'm glad that this match is main eventing. But there's another reason why I'm glad this match is main eventing, and I think people need to realize that WWE is all about making the big moments happen. And I don't think people realize, like, under Triple H, WrestleMania isn't the end of storylines. All the storylines don't just culminate and end at WrestleMania anymore. I think, and this is an early prediction, but CM Punk did reveal on SmackDown that his favor was not headlining WrestleMania. And when you look at Paul Heyman's reaction there, it is very difficult for me to truly believe in my heart that CM Punk and Paul Heyman they have something in the works. And Paul Heyman having that reaction like he doesn't want that favor to come to life tells me that he is going to have to turn on Roman and join CM Punk. So imagine if WrestleMania Night 1 ends with that game-changing, defining moment. It's the moment where Paul Heyman has to truly realize that he doesn't want to do this, but he has to do this. And that's the cost. And so I think if you end WrestleMania with that moment where Paul Heyman and CM Punk, whether it's a heel turn or Paul Heyman just simply turns on Roman and joins CM Punk, who knows? We don't know what the favor is, but whatever the favor is, we're going to find out at the end of WrestleMania Night 1. And so when you compare that to some of these other matches that people want to see main evented, I understand why you can make a fantastic argument for Io and Bianca and Rhea to headline, but at the end of the day, WWE has been telling the story of the favor since Survivor Series. And so because of that, we have seen months and months and months of this where people want to know what's happening. There is, I think, a lot more intrigue in that than just a really, really good match that's going to take place. And I'm not saying that Bianca and Io and Rhea don't have a great story, but that was something that started at Royal Rumble. Punk, Rollins, and Roman, technically speaking, started at Survivor Series. And obviously for Punk and Roman and Rollins, you could even argue that this is a story 10 years in the making. So if you want to argue which story is bigger, it is that one. If you're going to argue which one is going to have the better in-ring action, you can argue it's probably the women, right? But for me personally, I think WWE, listening to how the internet is reacting, I think WWE will pay very, very close attention to the outrage. And they're going to pay a lot of attention to the reactions for the women and for the storyline. And then that will determine what ends up happening at night 2. And believe it or not, I do love Cody versus John Cena. And I think WWE will absolutely not pivot away. But if WWE is forced to make a change, those 3 matches are the ones that you're going to see being moved around. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how WWE does this. But this is where WWE has to be careful, because last year they set the precedence that, hey, the internet won, right? And this year they're probably not going to do that, and that's going to lead to more fans having backlash.